Hi Chris, how are you?
I'm very well. Here we are. What's today? It's Sunday, the 11th of January, and it's still 2026. We got the year right. Well, I did at least anyway. And yeah, here we are. And it's amazing. Like the year just is cracking on at full pace. Like we've already had a full week.
Yeah, how can it be the 11th of January already? It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, agreed on that one. And a little soggy outside here today.
Yeah, it has been soggy. At least it's not icy anymore. The temperature went up 7 degrees between yesterday and today, which I thought was quite an increase.
7 degrees. Wow. It's still cold here, but still soggy. And the coming week is going to be soggy all week, which, as you can tell in my voice, I'm really looking forward to. I'd rather the cold than the wet, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. My daughters in Cardiff seem to have much worse weather than both of us in between us. So I think they were saying how awful it was in Cardiff. So maybe we're lucky it's just a bit damp.
Yeah, true. We shouldn't complain.
We shouldn't, but we will because we're British. Should we do some follow-up?
Let's dive straight into the follow-up.
Great. So first story, there's been a lot of political stuff been happening this week, which we're going to talk about more of in the main show. But the United States, however, has been saying that after having taken the president out of Venezuela, that it now quite likes the look of Denmark, or at least President Trump has been saying he quite likes the look of Greenland. And Greenland is a protectorate, or words to that effect, of Denmark. We've talked before about the change in European companies making moves away from big United States companies, and Signal, and this is directly from their blog on January the 8th, have noticed that Signal is being massively downloaded amid rising tensions in Denmark instead of WhatsApp, and I just think that's quite telling.
It is quite telling. It's interesting, isn't it? Now, I don't use either platform, as a shock to many. I'm not that surprised by this. I'm surprised they've announced it, especially for just singling out Denmark. I thought it might have just done more of a generic. It's huge. Like we've had way more uptick in downloads than what we've had in the previous 6 months. But the world's quite interesting, isn't it now? In that we've gone through the international period where everybody was at peace and largely, and you could travel, and now we seem to be going strangely backwards as over the last 3 or 4 years, we've just seemed to have gone backwards with. I'm not very diplomatic. Just backwards. I'm just going to leave it at that. I think what with various wars, fractions, tensions, taking the president out of a country and then another country going to run it, it's just all been a bit of a strange time.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how much of a conspiracy theorist you want to be. I'm going to try not to be. I could ascribe lots of things to that, but I think it's safe to say that there has been some influence on more right-wing politics, not just the United States. We see it across the world. We see it in the UK with the Reform Party. We've seen it.
100%.
We've seen it in Germany with, I think it's AFP is the name of the party there. Other right-wing leaders in Latin America. I think it's just a factor of something that's happening. However, threatening a sovereign nation's protectorate. I mean, we didn't respond well when the Falklands was invaded by Argentina. The United Kingdom didn't. The whole task force was sent, and an election was won off the back of that. Margaret Thatcher was not looking great in the polls at that point, and she came roaring back in. So if your numbers don't look good, you invade somewhere. I mean, Trump.
Wow.
Well, it's a thing, and I think Trump has said that in tweets previously. So this, ignoring the politics of it, it's not surprising that Danes would look at a large American company, Meta, that they primarily do their messaging through, WhatsApp, and think, okay, are there alternatives? I mean, you see these sort of increases, and we're going to talk about X/Twitter later as well, and sort of the impact that has on nations. But you and I both use iMessage as was, Messages as is, and that belongs to a large American company, and we do it on our American produced phones with software that doesn't really belong to us anymore. And you can understand, fair enough, Danes will be using iPhones and Android phones, but they're making choices where they can. And I just find this stuff really interesting that Europeans are going, hang about, let's think about this.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think it is super interesting, and yeah, I wouldn't want to be living in Greenland right now, would you? It must be horrible. Like, you must be so unsure of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, stories came out earlier about apparently Trump has asked special forces generals to plan the invasion of Denmark and of Greenland, and that's just going to. I mean, we're not a political podcast, but no. It's going to splinter NATO right down the middle, is what it's going to do.
Absolutely bonkers, isn't it? Shall we move on?
Let's move on. Let's talk about some tech. So, if I can find the right story, that would be helpful. We talked last week about the iPhone Fold as being one of the things that we were anticipating to happen in 2026. There's been a little more sort of news about that. Certainly at CES, Samsung displayed a screen that had no or not as obvious a crease down the middle. I thought that was quite interesting, and it's probably a leak of what to expect in the iPhone Fold. It's quite an unusual shape, this. Unfolded and folded. Folded, the outside screen is about the size of an iPhone mini, so that implies quite a lot of bezel to me on the outside screen. And then unfolded, it's more like an iPad mini. So it's like the two mini devices stuck together.
Neither of those sounds like the best of any world.
I agree. I mean, there's a mock-up. Well, I presume it's an iPad mini, actually, in the second picture down.
It does look like an iPad.
On this 9 to 5 Mac article. And the bezels on that look massive. If you're used to seeing any modern iPad Pro, or even any modern Mac, or look at the screen bezels, that is chunky.
Yeah, it is. I do. Well, I'm not sure it's going to be called the iPhone Fold, by the way. I reckon Ultra. I think they're going to go Ultra. I also wonder, because this article says the iPhone Fold, they obviously call it Fold, might be more like the iPad than the iPhone. I wonder, though, if they've made the changes they made this year to the iPad, knowing that they're going to have a foldable device come out, and that the iPhone will get like a baby version of iPad. It won't get the one with the menu bars and the red, the traffic light dots for multitasking, because that'd be quite cumbersome on your phone. I can't see them doing it, because otherwise you're massively cannibalizing your iPad, and I can't see them doing that.
I think them having put the effort in to do it, I don't see why they wouldn't do it. I'm all right. It's a small screen.
Because people won't buy iPads.
But does that matter? They're still buying iDevices. That was always Steve Jobs' attitude.
Yeah, no, agreed. Maybe, and I guess if the premium is that much more, I think they're going to try and differentiate it, though. That's my view.
I think I've got more of a cognitive dissonance with the fact that it's an iPhone on the outside and you unfold it and it's an iPad. What is that? How does that two things come together? I mean, one of the things about Samsung foldables now is if you're running your messaging app and you've got it active and you unfold it, then the Messages app is there on the inside of the phone.
Yeah, I'd imagine they do something like that. They've got these universal apps, and I don't know. I just can't see it being as full featured as the iPad. I think that's where I'm at.
No, I mean early versions, and I haven't seen one running recently of the Samsung foldables and the Google Pixel Fold. Certainly would, when you do that, it would take up half of the screen or the whole screen on the inside when you opened it, and then you'd be able to manipulate it in some way to take up the left half or the right half. But having brought windowing into the iPad, surely it's just a checkbox option for somebody who wants that on the tiny little iPad mini, iPhone Fold screen.
But I wonder whether they will artificially hold it back.
Yeah, well, this is Apple we're talking about, isn't it? It's going to be interesting to see how this goes, because it's a weird hybrid OS as well. I know there's not a lot of difference between iPad OS and iPhone OS, but is it iPad OS? No, because it hasn't got cellular stuff. Is it iPhone OS? No, because it's not an iPad. It's going to be weird.
I'm super interested to see how they're going to position it. I'm not sure whether I'm going to buy one, but I'm interested to see where they go with it.
Fair. Other Apple news. We talked about this, I think it's over a year ago now, that there was signs that Apple was going to move the bank provider for the Apple Card. Still something that's not available in the UK or anywhere else.
I was going to mention that. Or anywhere else. Like, it's great you got it in America, but...
At this stage,
what?
I don't know if any Europeans would want it at this stage, frankly.
Maybe they've missed the window here.
Well, it might also be. So the news is that they're changing provider, that they're going to Chase from, I think it was JP Morgan, where they were banker before.
Yeah, they're basically changing the back end of it, aren't they, in essence?
I tell a lie, it's Goldman Sachs that was the previous banker. And I wonder if, as Chase is now a more international brand, if this was part of that they couldn't launch it internationally?
Maybe, but it's odd, isn't it? It's just very odd. I would want one, even if I just got it so I could get discount on Apple products.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe if I didn't use it day to day, but just for that.
I don't know. I mean, again, it's very hard to stay away from politics these days, but our large banking providers are American. MasterCard and Visa are both American providers. A brand as American as Apple will also be tied to an American bank. It's going to be very hard for any country to push back against MasterCard and Visa. So, I think in America it works. I think they probably manage their credit cards differently to the way we did in Europe and the UK. Fundamentally, there's no benefit really other than a bit of discount on Apple products, and I don't think it's that much of a discount compared to using your usual bank. So other than the convenience of having it built into your phone and locking you further into the Apple ecosystem, is this such a big deal anymore?
No, true. No, you're right. I'm curious to know whether this change will bring any international growth. I mean, if Apple want to short their services, sure, this is a good way of bringing extra service revenue.
It's definitely more lock-in, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, the one bit I quite liked the idea of was easy cash transfers between people. So you'd have a positive, if you had a debit card on there rather than a credit card, you could send me money. Americans have had Venmo for a while, and it is much easier than it used to be. Banks like Monzo and all of them have made it easier for moving cash between people. But that quick, just send me 30 quid, would be easier if it was sort of a function built into your phone and your phone had a wallet of that sort on it. But I don't know, I guess they've got the reasons.
Yeah, true.
So also this week, there's been a lot of pushback on many of Apple's decisions, and after the unfortunate shooting of a civilian, of almost a bystander by an ICE officer in, I think it was Minnesota, this week, there's been a lot of pushback on ICE. And articles like this, which appeared in Engadget on the 9th of January, saying, Apple, it's time you brought the ICEBlock, which was the app that allowed you to see if ICE were operating in an area, back, are beginning to appear. And we're going to go into another app like this in a lot more detail on the main part of the show. But this is just, I mean, it's indisputable if you watch the video, and I don't know if you have watched the video, that the ICE agent shot this unfortunate lady when she was just trying to leave the scene of what was going on. And it's being spun by the government that actually this lady was a danger to the ICE agents. And it's just, it blows my mind that this is something we're even talking about in a tech podcast. Apple could do something about this. Google could do something about this. And they choose not to, or they're actually being mandated not to by their government.
Yeah, the video is quite a tough watch. But there's two things in that video for me. Of one, you've got an agent there telling you to stop. So maybe you should stop. And B, you've got this escalate very quickly into gunfire. And why wasn't it a shoot the tyre, not shoot the person? I don't understand how those two things happened. And obviously we live in a world largely where there's not many guns that we see visible as we go around our day-to-day jobs or go into London or wherever. You don't often see people carrying, like officers carrying guns or weapons. So it's I struggled with it in two ways because, like I said, I think both sides weren't doing the right thing, but boy, did it escalate very quickly. This is always going to be a really tricky place, though, for Apple to be, isn't it?
Well, it is. They're kind of devil in the deep blue sea. This, if anything, to me, is an argument for why they should allow side loading on their platform, and Google should allow side loading on their platform, because it would give them the ability to go, no, we're doing as we're instructed to by our government. But if people want to install apps on their own recognizance, they can.
True. But surely this is all available on a website. So even if you don't have an app, you just have a website and go to the said website.
But I think what we've learned from the big companies is they've pushed you towards apps, right? That people don't necessarily think about going and using a website. An example of myself is my bank has a website I can go and I can log into, and it's a bit of a pain because it doesn't have Face ID and all that kind of stuff. It's easier just to log into my phone app and do it. It doesn't surprise me that people want apps.
I think banks are the massive exception because the phones have made going to doing online banking so much easier than actually using their website, which is prehistoric. Whereas, shops like Vinted or eBay, I actually don't have the apps, or Amazon. I just go to the website if I'm going to interact with them because I don't want my phone filled up with crappy apps, basically. But maybe that's just the way I've ended up. I've gone through the app period and I've come out the other end and gone, actually, I'm happy just using the website for when I need it. I don't need more apps on my phone.
I think that's probably a healthy thing. And I know you've said that before. You've got notification fatigue and all that kind of stuff that is a real thing, and you want less distractions on your phone, whereas you can choose to go and visit a website. It's not Sainsbury's pushing you an alert that, such and such nectar points are available or whatever it is. And there are some really terrible examples of, I'm trying to think of one. TUI, the travel app, for example, is forever telling me about travel deals that are available that I do not want.
Yeah, I hate those sorts of apps. Same with EasyJet. I have that sometimes when I'm flying. So back to this then. I think Apple's in a really tricky spot here because whichever way they go, it's now got really political, hasn't it? Of whether they turn it on or off. They're siding with one side, whether with the government or against the government. And this is the problem when you're the gatekeeper of what's allowed on your platform, I think. And I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I was trying to come up with an idea. And like I say, for me, I guess the answer is going back to the web, and you can obviously always have a shortcut on your home screen to get to that. But it's not a great solution, is it?
It's not. I think we'll park this because we've got a lot of politics to talk about in the main show. So let's move on and go back to tech briefly. We've talked about Logitech fiddling with their mice before now. They were going to bring in some sort of AI button, a subscription to use your mouse, which was just an idea. They were never going to go there, just to provide it, ChatGPT and LLM.
They were also going to do the forever mouse, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. This, however, Logitech broke Mac users' mice this last week by not reviewing a security certificate. So if you had pre-configured shortcuts within the Logitech app, it would stop working. I mean, that's just what you want, isn't it, for your mouse to be dependent on some sort of security certificate?
Yeah, not great look though, is this? Massive company like that failed on a thing that obviously anybody can get tripped up by. And I like Logitech products. I'm looking around now. I've got a mouse and a keyboard, and I've got another one up at the house. So it's not good, is it? I don't use a lot of the over customization thing. I just generally quite like their products how they are. But there was a lot of this obviously blew up, and it's not good, is it? You start trying to use your mouse and it can't push the button that you've configured, which is a big selling point of these devices. So yeah, really bad look for Logitech there.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm the same. I've got a Logitech Master MX3S, which is a snappily named product that I'm using right now for the podcast, and I use it in preference to my Apple Magic Trackpad. Is that what that's called? I forget what that's called. Yeah. We'll hold our devices up, Chris. That go us, in solidarity. That's a very small mouse. I only got an Apple mouse there as well. Hold on.
There you go. I've got one Apple, one Logitech.
But it drives me slightly crazy that you buy a mouse with lots of buttons, as these Logitech ones do, and the Apple operating system doesn't support all the buttons. I've had to install an app called Linear Mouse to be able to make use of the extra buttons, the 5 or 6 other buttons are on my thing, without installing Logitech software. Because let's face it, Logitech software is generally pretty bad. It's like the Apple story: hardware good, software bad.
Yeah, I never feel happy when I install the Logitech software. I always feel like I'm going to regret this later.
Very much, and quite often do. Anyway, you've bought something, it would seem.
Yeah, so after the show last week, we were talking about the Clicks Power Keyboard, and I watched the little video. There's a launch video in the link, and do you know what? I was like, actually, that looks quite good for 60 quid, and so I ordered it. It's just a Bluetooth keyboard, basically. But it MagSafes to your phone, and it can be a power bank. It's USB-C. It's got a great little keyboard, but you can obviously Bluetooth it to other devices. And it's a bit weird when you see him in the video using it with his iPad or Vision Pro, because it's like, why have you got such a diddy little keyboard? But I'm just curious to give this a go. I think it looks kind of cool. I do quite a lot on my phone when I'm out and about, going to meetings and things. So I just thought it's something small. £60 seemed okay. I think I'll go for it. And it's got a little bit of power bank in there too.
How big is the power bank?
I don't know. Even if I read the number, it wouldn't mean a lot to me. My 14-year-old son, it probably means more to him than to me.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting product. There you go. It's a 2150 milliamp hour battery. Real
is that good or bad?
That's about half your iPhone, I think. But a bit more than half your iPhone.
And it's only a 5-watt charging, so it's going to be quite slow at doing that, but I think it's a bit. I'm going to try it. I think it was good enough to tempt me.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably more than that Apple product that the MagSafe battery that they used to offer, frankly, and probably charges it about the same speed. So, if nothing else, even if you use the keyboard, you got yourself a power bank for your phone for a little more than you paid. But I think this is a sensible purchase. I wonder how thick it will make your phone.
Yeah, I would imagine this isn't something that I would carry on my phone when it's in my pocket, but it's probably something I would pop on when I want to do something with it. That's how I see it working, especially with MagSafe. It's so good. So curious to see what it's going to be like. I will let you know.
Yep, good. When is it due?
I think it's like spring. Like it's a random arbitrary date, so like spring.
It's quite nice ordering this kind of stuff that, you're surprised then you get a shipping notification. You're like, ooh, what was that?
Yeah, what did I order? So, no, true. And I don't often order something on a pre-order like this. So, I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, you convinced me. Because I left the tab open, came back the next day, watched the video, and I was like, done.
Well done. There was a rumour that the top spec Steam machine might be £1,000 when it comes out. And actually I thought, ooh, no, that's got my attention. Because next year, I don't know that I need to buy another iPhone next year. I'm still happy with my 15 here. So rather than dropping £1,000 on a phone, I could drop £1,000 on a cool gaming PC instead.
Which would probably last longer than a phone? Well, I don't know. Now if you want to keep yours for 3 years.
We'll see how we go. No promises yet. Maybe the iPhone, what are we up to? 18 will convince me.
18.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to see how it goes. And this might be the year where we get a split launch, so it'll be quite interesting to see how that all's going to play out.
Or maybe I'll go completely mad and go Fairphone and become a complete tinfoil hat, live in the woods kind of guy.
Yeah, okay, I could see getting a classic Nokia maybe.
It's tell you what, it's going that way. Shall we do some news?
Let's do the news.
So first up, in horrifying news, ChatGPT Health apparently launched this week an option to plug into your Apple Health or Google Health apps and be able to play doctor with your sensitive health information. Oh my God, no! Why? Oh God!
I can see people going for this. People love ChatGPT. I see it with my own family, see it with friends. People love it. I can see people going, yeah, why? I love ChatGPT. It answers all my questions. If it's right or wrong is another question. But I can see people going for this. I agree with you, by the way. I'm like, I'm not so sure on that. But I can see people going for this in a big way.
I find the whole concept horrifying. It's not that long ago we were talking about Google advising you to eat concrete or put stones in your pizza or jump off bridges.
Plastic, no, glue, wasn't it? It was glue.
Yeah.
Agreed. But I think ChatGPT in the last year has had lots of positive news, and I think people are really, it's getting quite sticky with people, and I'm not surprised.
I mean, to be fair to ChatGPT or OpenAI, they say conversations in health are not used to train our foundation models. I mean, we've already seen OpenAI has leaked all manner of stuff here, there, and everywhere as part of what they've done. We've already seen that newspapers have been able to put in prompts to get the articles on which things were based on back. I don't believe them. There is no way on earth I would link to my Apple Health or any other health records directly to a chatbot like this, to an LLM like this, any of them. Possibly not even an internal one that I'd built myself using Olama or something like that. So this makes me very nervous. I mean, on one level, it doesn't matter. The UK NHS is owned by Palantir. Palantir probably have a stake in OpenAI. They're going to get NHS records anyway. There's my tinfoil hat moment. But, your health is your responsibility as your healthcare providers, and I don't see that OpenAI have any place in that. Just because it can advise you to go and have your blood pressure taken or something like that. I did see a thing about one American state was using an LLM for filing prescription returns, and a prompt that somebody had managed to put in for the prescription return had got them to trick the chat bot to actually give them a prescription that they didn't want. So this is going to go wrong real fast.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I can see people going for it, but I can see people getting misinformation, and then that becomes a problem, doesn't it? When somebody has a bad accident, takes the wrong thing, follows the advice, and it's very much incorrect, and it could be life-threatening.
I just think it's a horrendous, stupid idea. These chat LLMs are known to be wrong. They're not 100% verifiable. They're quite good with very specific information. They're quite good for coding because there's lots of coding examples. This just makes me deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I can understand it. Like I say, I think I'm with you, but I can see people wanting to use it more and more.
I guess people have been putting all their data into Facebook for a very long time now, and they're used to it. The big companies have trained people to be accepting of this.
Yeah, I don't think many people really see that their data is what they're paying with. They're just quite happy to give it away.
Horrifying. I mean, I need to get... this has spurred me on. I need to get all the rest of my stuff out of Gmail, don't I? I need to finish off my transition, which I've put off and off and off. Anyway.
Oh, it's hard. Leaving somewhere is hard.
It is hard. In more interesting health news, apparently, a company called IXI have come up with autofocusing lenses on glasses. So if you're older gentleman or lady like myself, where you've got varifocals that you have to wear at work, although I'm not on them here in the house at the moment, you've got two levels, basically, or a gradation of your vision as you look up for far away or look down to have a closer view of things with your failing eyesight as you become increasingly decrepit. These are for long-sighted individuals where they'll have an autofocus element built into the lenses, and rather than have that very focal shift, you've got long-sightedness built in. I just think this is really cool. This is a useful application of technology.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. Whilst not something I would benefit from right now, I can really see the appeal of this as I get older. Whilst I am wearing glasses, I literally use them for computer work, but I can really see the appeal of this.
Yeah, I think this is cool. And that sort of technology that's been going into things like the Apple Vision Pro and others where you've got focusing distances and all the rest of it. Basically, this is going to watch how your eyes focus and respond to it by changing the focal length of the glasses. And if it does long-sightedness, then the rest of it is coming. So I think this is really cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Something else I think is really cool. once I accept their ability to just look at everything on my computer through advertising. Thank you, T3, for that. Is IKEA's $10 Bluetooth speaker. So I've seen this. This came up. This is a product that was announced at CES. You can already go to the IKEA website and find this, actually. It's $10. It's £5 in the UK.
That's cheap, isn't it? That's a chuck it in the basket and give it a go.
Yeah, €5, £5 is what this is going to be. Apparently, it lacks bass, but you can have a Bluetooth speaker for £5. And that in itself is amazing because not all phone speakers are great. However, the sort of party trick of this thing is you can pair up to 100 of them and put them around your house.
Wow, that could be quite cool. You can have them all over a room. It must be a pain in the butt to turn them off and charge them, but could be quite cool.
Oh, they charge with USB-C. They don't come with a cable in the box. They come in this sort of funky green colour and a pink colour. And I just think this is phenomenal. Well done, IKEA. This is exactly the kind of thing people want. If you want a stereo Bluetooth setup, £10 and you've got it.
To be fair to IKEA, some of their home stuff is actually pretty good. I've got the blinds here in my shed. They've been amazing up until I swapped out my network, and now I can't get them to appear in the app. They come and go kind of thing. So up until that point, they've been so good. But I do actually rate their stuff. I think it's really reliable. It's really well done, and it's normally a fair price.
I think that'll be a VLAN thing. You'll need to let something through your VLAN to get that to work.
It works, and then the next day I come to use it, it doesn't work again, and I don't know why. It's just very bizarre.
Anyway, I like IKEA. There is a link to this other donut lamp, which is a Matter lamp as well, that I also think is quite cheap of memory service. I think it was less than £20 for a colour-changing lamp that you can control with Matter as well. So I agree with you. I think IKEA are doing some really interesting stuff in the home automation Matter space, and this is just another product that I've got a lot of time for.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yep. Moving on, it is CES, so it's quite nice to have seen a couple of cool stories there. But I thought this was interesting by 9to5Mac, that how Dell, HP, and Lenovo are moving in a very different direction, where they're opening the laptops back up again to be able to upgrade RAM and SSDs and things in them, having been down the glue everything in place route that Apple have. And I think that can only be to their advantage, a corporate advantage, in as much as clearly the move to Snapdragon's not going well for Microsoft and Windows users. People are not keen to move away from it, despite the increases in battery life and things like that. We've also seen the increase in RAM prices, SSD prices, and everything else that's going on at the moment due to data centers taking up lots of RAM. So allowing users to upgrade their own stuff is only going to become more important, I think, as the stuff gets more locked down, and it's an interesting pushback against the reality of the MacBook Pro. So what did you think of this as a sort of change in corporate culture?
I think it's good. And then I thought a bit more about it. I think actually, a lot of these companies sell to corporate companies, and they probably want that. They want to be able to pop more RAM in, pop different hard drives in. So it's probably also, it's the right thing, upgradability, 100%. And I think it's really good. I'm there on board, because I would love to do it. I'd love to put a terabyte in my Mac Mini. Even if I had to buy the Apple drive, I'd love to have the option to do an upgrade to it, and I think Apple should go back that way.
Well, you can. I think we featured it on the show that you can take it apart and you can put in another SSD and save yourself about £700.
Yeah, but it's not overly supported and not guaranteed, is it, to work? Like, longer term, would Apple ever put something in that puts the kibosh on it?
Yeah, well, I think it would work, but what the difference is that if this becomes a reality and more companies start doing it again, I've just noticed there's a bit of a rendering error with this, isn't it? It sits outside of the blue frame in the box for the picture of the laptop. Sorry, a detail that suddenly occurred to me. It's not framework. It's not designed to have everything, but it's not designed, which is what you're saying, is the Apple stuff.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get in there and do those upgrades. I'd rather it was easy. We were talking last week about laptops that you could just pop the keyboard off and change the battery off. That's where we want to be again, really.
But Apple equally, they should give you a service. Like, I love my laptop. I don't really want to change it, but it's a bit slow. Can I come and give you some money at an inflated cost, and you do an upgrade for me? But Apple don't even provide that. Surely that's better for the environment if they gave that as an option.
But I think what we're seeing with Apple is all these high and mighty ideals around their security and their environmental credentials and their loyalty to their customers and their security of their app stores aren't what they're all cracked up to be.
No, they're not necessarily preaching what they in what they preach. I can't remember.
Well,
the way
they're
around it is.
selling something, but it's not what they're telling us. So before we move off this, I thought it was interesting that Dell have brought back the XPS brand this year. They let it go last year at CES, and it's back.
Why did you let it go? Such a good brand. Lots of brand cachet there.
Well, it's back, but also it's more expensive, so it's a direct impact on the RAM prices. The base model Dell XPS is now $2,000.
Wow. Okay. That's quite chunky, isn't it?
That's quite a lot. And I know you love a big screen, Chris, so I thought I'd let you tell the good people about this particular behemoth from Dell.
So Dell, I'm not a curved screen person, but Dell have unveiled a massive 52-inch 6K ultrawide curved monitor. Wow. So I was thinking about this. 52 inches, that is huge. That's like family TV. Obviously, it's wide and skinny, not very tall. But I'm not sure about this because it's too wide for something I would want. I'm not, like I say, I don't think I'm there on curved screens yet. Like a flat screen, I like it right in front of me. I've got 27 inch now, but I think 6K spread over 52 inches is too big a space to spread that resolution. It's got a lower dots per inch. Is it PPI? I'm trying to think what it's called. If you scroll down a bit, pixels per inch, and so it's 129, which is okay. But for me, I think the ultimate is 6K should be on a 32-inch screen. I think that's the right density so that you get a really sharp image. 5K seems to work great on a 27-inch tick. 4K probably maximum 27-inch. Like I've seen some 4Ks on 32, and I just don't think I'd enjoy that. I think it would look too chunky for me. I don't think it would look very good.
Yeah, probably. However,
like for me, just using a desktop, not playing games.
Yeah. But I mean, this isn't designed for your average desktop. This is designed for, they say themselves, stock traders and people like that. So you've got a lot of information on the screen. You want it big enough to be able to see at, relatively close distance without being too far away. I think it's interesting. The specifications of this really, to me, throw up issues with the way Apple price their things. And again, that's not a surprise. Apple deliberately make their things more expensive. It's 120 hertz. What's the refresh rate in your studio display, Chris? 60. It's got I've lost track of it. It supports input from 4 PCs. That's good.
That's good.
It delivers 140 watts of power over Thunderbolt 4.
The specs on paper amazing, and I've been looking into monitors, and they've all got way more than what my studio display has. But I do love my studio display. I can't explain why.
You can. It's because I've got a logo on the front side of it.
There's no logo on the front, so even when I look at it could be anything. It's unbranded at the front. It hasn't even got a little one on the bezel, but it looks nice. I've got it hardwired into my Mac Mini, and I use it all the time. Do I wish it had other inputs? Yes. Am I looking at one so I can have other inputs? Yes. Am I going to buy another studio display? Question mark.
We didn't say the price of this is $2,900 with a stand or $2,800 without. So Dell are taking a little chip off Apple's shoulder there by adding the stand for extra money as well. Genuinely,
I'm all right with that.
Yeah,
I'm all right. You might invest mount it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's $100. That's not too bad.
And it's a 52-inch screen. I mean, you kind of want to stand it on something, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm comfortable with that, and I think it's good spec. Like I say, I'm looking for a 32 at 6K. I do worry it's 6K spread too wide, but it is what it is.
I mean, it's what, $1,000, a bit more than that, than an Apple Studio display.
Yeah.
How much?
That's well worth it.
How much is the big Apple display?
Like $4,500 here in the UK.
Is it? I think it's more than that, isn't it? Pro Display XDR.
That's without a stand. I mean, the stand's £1,000.
Yeah. So it's the Pro Display XDR. I'm just going to click buy. It makes for good radio. Hang on, let's bring it up here so we can all see it. Yeah, Pro Display XDR with standard glass is £4,599, and of course you need a stand. It's another $1,000, and that is £5,548 for a screen that's 6 years old at this point.
Oh my good lord!
That's 2 of these Dell 52-inch screens.
We are into the 7th year of that screen.
Yeah, and it was
a great screen when it came out, but it's not aged well now.
It's really not. I'd look at the Dell folks. Or I'd actually look for another 32-inch 6K display, of which there are several now, and you'd probably get a better screen for the money.
Asus have a ProArt one, which I've got half an eye on it at the moment.
There you go. One last thing from CES, Motorola announced a foldable as well. This is the first foldable they've gone. It's odd. That's not true. They've had a Razer-style foldable as well that folds the other way, but this is the first time they've done like the widthways. fold, wider than it is long, longer than it is wide, whichever way around it is I'm trying to say. Ones that open like a book, like the Apple foldable we've been talking about.
Tall and thin.
Tall and thin, with a display on the outside that you open up and then you get a big display on the inside. And it's just interesting, it's yet another company putting their hat in the ring to this foldable market, and Apple's still not there.
I think they might fix that. Am I the only one that looked at this article and went, Motorola still make phones?
Motorola have made phones for ages. We talk about them every year.
I just forget about them because I never see anybody with a Motorola phone.
They're still out there. I think they make slightly cheaper variants of what Samsung do, in the sense that they run a fairly stock Android. They're a little bit less expensive. The sort of selling point for this, other than the fact I think it looks like a decent foldable, is it comes with a stylus, and even Samsung's phones don't come with styluses anymore.
Yeah, that is quite cool. It does look like somebody's just photoshopped the camera mesa into it, though, doesn't it? It's got 4 cameras, which look kind of cool.
Yeah.
Always one a flash. Actually, the 4th one might be a flash by the looks of it.
Yeah, almost certain. There'll be a telephoto, an ultrawide, and a standard, and that'll work. And it has a hole punch built in on the outside screen, so you don't always need to unfold it. But I think this is okay. It's respectable. 6.6 screen on the outside, 8.1 on the inside, and as a stylus. Without seeing the price, which you can't see in this article, a 50 megapixel sensor. Isn't that the same sensor as we have on the iPhone?
48, 348s.
So there you go. It might actually be a slightly better sensor than what you get in the iPhone. But there you go. If you're out looking for a foldable phone, Motorola may have you covered.
Like I said, still can't believe they make them.
Still can't believe they make them, but they have been for a long time. Should we do some media?
Let's do the media.
The whole situation in America has made Reddit explode, with British people going, well, do we have to use all these American products? And people were suggesting things other than, Disney Plus or Apple TV or Netflix or Paramount or any of the other many American streaming platforms that we all give our money to. And I thought it was interesting that somebody suggested the BFI Player, which I'd forgotten was a thing, I'll be quite honest. Did you remember the BFI Player?
Nope.
So the BFI Player is the British Film Institute. It costs
I knew that.
$6.99 a month or $65 a year. Although if you get it now, you can get a year's worth of BFI Player for £50, which seems like good value. And what they have on there are a bunch of independent films that have been building up over the years and years. And it actually looks like really good value.
Yeah, I don't know how big their catalogue is, but it looks okay. But I don't really know much about how much they have on here and how much they add and all of that.
At the same time, does it matter? You're supporting independent film from a local provider. I recognise the film Showgirls. It's not the greatest film in the world, but I recognise that here's a film with Saoirse Ronan. It's not nothing. These are presumably well-known independent films.
I agree with you there. It isn't nothing.
So it caught my attention. They've got an iPhone app. They've got an Android app. You can stream it on your TV. And it appears on the surface to be really good value for money. That's just a little bit more than I pay for Channel 4 every month. And if I was a Netflix subscriber, I'm probably up over the £20 mark at this point. So I suspect you could go on there and find a film, and they add new films weekly.
Oh, okay, that is good. And they've got documentaries and bits and bobs. So yeah, fair enough. It is growing. Maybe I need to give it an eye once I'm out of subscribing to whatever media I'm subscribing to at the moment. It's
probably worth checking it. And while I was at it, and I haven't put a link into it, I also came across, I think it's called BorrowBox, which is like a library app. So if you've got an iPad or something like that and you want to borrow ebooks from your library, then that is an option as well. It goes in a queue, it becomes available when you want to read it, and you can get on and you can make use of our libraries even if you've got an e-reader. It doesn't work with a Kindle, but does work with your iPad or your Mac. And I think that's interesting as well. Why not support libraries too?
Yeah, that is interesting actually, because libraries appear to be dwindling somewhat here in the UK.
Yeah, so there we go. Now, I'm going to bring this link up with a certain amount of hesitation. Do you remember MTV?
Yeah, I remember MTV.
You're not too old, not too young to remember MTV, the glory days of MTV.
I used to quite like Q here in the UK. I don't know if that was an international channel, but they used to play like rock videos and stuff.
Well, over the years...
Think Foo Fighters and Chili Peppers.
Okay. Over the years, MTV morphed from being a continuous streaming music videos channel to being a reality TV channel, I think is the way to say. And the videos persisted on MTV2, and then it's stuff like the Kardashians and things like that, I want to say. Probably not, because I think they're on Disney, but that kind of style of TV, reality TV, and stop playing music videos. I loved the music videos in MTV. Growing up, when I was early 90s, late 80s, we had MTV in the house, and it was always on, and I discovered all manner of music with it. I saw some really cool music videos, and anyway, it went away. Anyway, this crazy guy has put together MTV Rewind, into which you can
Seven,
just...
6,
into
5,
which,
4...
and sorry, you will hear that on the podcast, you can just pick an MTV streaming channel and set it going and leave it on in the background streaming away as MTV used to be. You can pick the noughties, you can pick the late 80s. I think they've even got some videos from the 70s on there. MTV launched in the late 70s, I think, with Buggles' video Killed the Radio Star. So you can go back and you can watch, they even got an unplugged channel with all the unplugged MTV recordings over the years. I just think this is phenomenal, and I just wanted to highlight it.
Yeah, no, that is cool. We were watching some old classic music TV yesterday with 3 generations of my family, my parents and my son. And my son was quite enjoying some of the old black and white videos. He quite likes his music. And so, yeah, this looks kind of cool. I think we have to give this a go.
Check it out. I was really impressed with it anyway. As I'm looking through the media in our show notes, Chris, I'm noticing you haven't put anything in, so I'm suspecting you haven't done much in the way of consuming content this week.
I have no idea where the week's gone. Like, we roll around to another week. I have watched the first 2 episodes of the Night Manager Series 2, which you reviewed last week and said it was okay. I actually quite enjoyed it, but I think it's because I watched the Night Manager the previous series a couple of times, and I quite like the way they tied the story back, but I don't think I enjoyed it as much. You know, it was a second-rate TV show, not set on the book, but I didn't mind it, so I'm quite looking forward to finishing that off.
I should probably have gone back and watched some sort of synopsis of the first season again, because they're talking about this person and that person. I'm like, who the hell is that?
Whereas I remember that because I think I've watched it enough that it's made more of a dent in my memory. So I quite like the way they had tied it together. I thought it was quite good. But I can't imagine you're the only person that's watched Series 2 and was like, I can't remember half the characters from Season 1.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to do a sort of catch-up at the start of it, but it was insufficient, I feel, for what they started talking about.
I often find those catch-ups aren't good enough because you just forget, don't you?
Yeah, you do. I've been doing some rewatches, however. I rewatched Reacher Season 1 on Amazon Prime. What a great show that is. So true.
It's good.
Yeah. And it's I've never looked at this Rotten Tomatoes before, but 96% from the critics, 80% from the audience.
It's pretty good.
It's a good show. Have you watched Reacher?
No, I haven't. I've seen the Tom Cruise films, and I haven't read the books, whereas I kind of want to go read the books, because I like reading my books, so that might be something on my list.
That surprises me. It's such dad fiction as well, the Reacher books.
Yeah, no, I met with a supplier at work, and he was listening to one of the Reacher books, and he was like, these are amazing, I've read them all, and I was like, actually, that's something I should possibly do. So it's on the long list, but I've got quite a backlog from last year at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will say, and I probably said it when I reviewed this the first time, that it's so gratifying. It's really well done. Amazon have done a good job with it. Alan Ritchson, who plays Reacher, is far closer to the Reacher I have in my head. He's probably a bit too muscly, really, but other than that, he's far closer to the Reacher you have in your head than Tom Cruise, who's like 5 foot nothing.
Yeah, that was the big feedback, wasn't it? Like, Tom Cruise was just the wrong stature for the film.
But more than that, I mean, Tom Cruise is a great actor. I've enjoyed him in many things. Alan Ritchson is pretty much perfection as Reacher, and they've done it really well. The supporting cast is really good too. It's only 6 episodes. They're only an hour long. You know, I think it's worth investing a little bit of your time in it.
Yeah, that in my world is doable.
Yeah, good. Oh, something in my I've appealed to you. At the same time, I've gone back and I started watching Modern Family again. This is because of my children, who, when they came around at Christmas time, said, well, we've got to watch one of the Christmas episodes of Modern Family. And I'd forgotten quite how funny that show was, so I'm on episode 4 of the first season, and it's just terrifically well-written comedy. It's only about 24 minutes long. Really impressive. Again, a great cast. Particularly stand out to me is Ed O'Neill, who plays sort of the grandfather/new father character within it. Who, if you remember, Married with Children back in the day, he played the dad in that, and it's like it's growing up with American culture, Chris. For me, it was an American show that was always sort of thereabouts in the background, and he's moved from being the father character to being the grandfather character. Another thing, it's just really well done, very acutely observed comedy that I very much enjoy.
Cool, fair enough. I was actually watching The Big Bang a little bit this week because I love The Big Bang, and they had it for sale for 40 quid for the entire lot, so I did insta purchase that.
Well, this is on Disney, so I just streamed it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so why would I pay for it? And then last but not least, last night I continued my Bond odyssey. I got up to a slightly more modern era and yet another new Bond, so Pierce Brosnan has just taken over in GoldenEye. 2 hours and 10 minutes of 90s cheese that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Do you know what? The GoldenEye film, I really like the film. I remember going to watch it. My dad used to work for Dolby here in the UK, and we went to their private theatre to go watch it, and it was fantastic. So yeah, I really enjoyed that film. I think it stands up now. It was good. It wasn't. It was just a good Bond. Pierce Brosnan was okay. You know, I enjoyed it, and that amazing abseil at the start, didn't it? Which was a great opening, just really, really quiet opening as the guys running along the top of the dam. Fantastic film. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, good film. It's not aged as badly as some of the other ones. It's certainly, I think the transition away from being a horrible sexist idiot happened with Timothy Dalton more than Brosnan. So he's a lot less, and I use the word with caution, rapey than the Sean Connery or Roger Moore Bonds were, which is no reflection on at least one of the actors, just how they were written at that point. Brosnan's a solid Bond. Unfortunately, it's all downhill from here until Craig comes along, I seem to remember.
There are some bits I like in the next one. So the next film you're going to watch is Tomorrow Never Dies, and they have a Nokia phone and a BMW 7 Series, and you can drive the BMW with your phone, which I remember that came out, and I thought that was awesome at the time. And then I agree with you. I think that is like a little bit of Tomorrow Never Dies is okay, and then the rest of it is completely downhill.
So good about this, it led to one of the best computer games of all time, which was the N64 GoldenEye computer game, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, I've never played it.
Oh my god! And then Sean Bean is the bad guy in this, and Sean Bean is fantastic.
Yeah, I do like Sean Bean. He's good. What did age badly for me in GoldenEye though is you can see where they used miniature models for some of their special effects.
I think that's fine in some cases. Models are better than all of the CGI at this point looked pretty dreadful. So, although
true, I think that's probably aged better.
I did find the egregious insertion of the BMW Z3 driving along for 15 seconds, clearly because BMW had paid for it rather than Aston Martin, was a bit much.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I didn't mind it. I quite like the Z3.
Yeah, but it was literally 15 seconds it was in it. I mean, there's a DB5.
It was going to have some Stinger missiles or something, and it had nothing that we saw.
Yeah, and the other sad thing about it is where bits of it were filmed, the Arecibo, I want to say it, observatory, which is the major satellite dish at the end, wasn't maintained and fell in a rack and ruin and fell down about 5 years ago, which I think is really sad.
Yeah, that is rubbish.
Games?
Let's do the games.
I'm going to let you talk about Quake, Chris.
Well, I've got that coming up as my thing of the week, but I've played Quake Remastered on my Nintendo Switch 2. It's out for the Switch 1. It's probably out for every platform, isn't it? I think you can play it. You can play it on a greeting card these days. I think it probably is better on the PC with your mouse and your keyboard if you want to relive late 90s. But what a game! Like proper shoot 'em up game. There's not really a story. And they try to give you a little bit of a story when you complete their various missions, their various campaigns. But love this game. I've played it. Well, I played it all the way through this week, and I loved it.
Well, you inspired me.
I've got no media.
You inspired me to go and download it on PlayStation. So I picked it up in the PlayStation sale for £3.20, whereas on Steam it was £7.50. I bought this when it came out. I'm pretty sure it was on shareware, and I bought the first level, and then I got this.
ID always used to do shareware, didn't they?
And I'd done this with Doom. I remember being a nursing student and getting the Doom first episode on a floppy disk and then paying for it to come from America on the next 2 floppy disks. Yes, I'm that old. It was quite different to Doom. Doom was all sprite based. It was about. I mean, it obviously revolutionized multiplayer, local multiplayer as well, Doom, and then this got even more so with Quake and its netcode. This was really the first game you could play over the internet at a reasonable performance, and Quake Tournament was a hell of a thing. And we played it. We played Unreal Tournament. We did all this kind of stuff. This was proper 3D though. There were physics in it. There was a lot of stuff going on with Quake, and the soundtrack was phenomenal. Obviously, their interest in Nine Inch Nails. It's the first time I remember Nine Inch Nails contributing to a soundtrack, and in fact, the ammo boxes in Quake were all Nine Inch Nails logoed as per the band, which you may not even have noticed.
No, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. But this was when we went from a 2D game in essence to a proper 3D game. It was cool.
But what you see is that they couldn't get the same amount of things on screen as they could in Doom. So Doom is packed. You enter a room towards the later ends, and there's hundreds of bad guys in the room to hit with your rockets and your shotgun and all the rest of it. This, I think the most they could render at any one time was 6. So you never face the same level of danger in the sense that you did that. But it changed the sort of metric for circle strafing and all that kind of stuff. It's quite a game. It was interesting to play it on a PlayStation at 4K on my 4K TV, with a controller as opposed to a mouse and a keyboard. But £3.20, not a terrible amount of money spent.
I absolutely love it. I played it all the way through, and what got me is actually it can be quite scary. If you play it without the music on, it's not very scary. But turn the music on or the sounds, that it's really impressive how scarier and adds a lot more jeopardy into the mix. 'Cause just the background noise of like a monster in the next room or somewhere else on the level, very well done. The whole soundtrack to it is amazing.
And now you know it's Nine Inch Nails.
And now I know it's been a learning day, so it's good. But I see what you mean about the monsters. But in some ways, they did quite a good job of bring them out one after another, especially in some of the later levels. And where you didn't get room packed with them, they did it in a good way. I think they used that limitation to come at it from a different angle, and I thought they did a quite good job.
Yeah, I don't think it's consistent as Doom. Doom, they have that sci-fi sort of horror setting that they sort of lean into quite well, and that it tells a more consistent story. Whereas Quake is a bit muddled. There's a bit of sci-fi, there's a bit of medieval, there's a bit of sort of Lovecraftian stuff.
It's a bit weird they didn't do a couple of medieval campaigns and a couple of semi-modern campaigns, whereas it's a bit mixed. I do agree with you there.
And again, for comparing Doom to Quake, the big bads aren't the same. There isn't the same sort of level of ultimate, except right at the end, which it doesn't even move, the final sort of beastie right at the end. The threat, I think, is maintained all the way through. I'm not knocking the game. It's a classic game, but it's just interesting to compare them.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. But I did enjoy it, and I loved it when it came out. So, had a good time.
One to keep an eye on for the future for me, or if should it appear on sale. I love me a bit of XCOM. This has come out this week. It's called USC Counterforce. It's a mix of Aliens and XCOM, so actually sort of xenomorphs rather than what you've got in the XCOM games. So I'm not going to go into any length. It's just something I'm going to keep an eye on. I've added to my Steam queue, and I'll pick it up if it goes on sale. Totally uninteresting.
This looks like a very rod game.
It's a very rod game, and that's why I've put it on the list. However, because I'm a nice guy, Chris, I thought I'd throw you some StarCraft bones.
I do like a bit of StarCraft. I did play a bit of the remaster this year of StarCraft 1. I do like a remaster, it transpires. I haven't gone back and played StarCraft 2 in a long time, and I did really enjoy that, and that is the graphic from StarCraft 2. So Blizzard apparently are going to release a StarCraft-based shooter, and they've tried to do this 2 or 3 times, and it's been canned at various points. So it's going to be interesting to see whether this actually comes out, but apparently it's going to get launched this year or announced this year, so interesting to see if that is the case. But I think this is quite a cool world, the StarCraft world. They haven't overexploited it, so I'm curious to see what they do here.
I think this sort of tells a story more how gaming is changing than anything else. That I think your traditional real-time strategy game is becoming more niche. It's not a mainstream platform anymore. Shooters are very mainstream, and so maybe they'll have more success with it this time.
Yeah, maybe. I do like my real-time strategy, though. That was always my de facto game. That and a shooter, maybe, and a bit of car racing. They're kind of the 3 games I enjoy.
Not too much strategy, though.
Not too much strategy. I don't like it on some of the modern games where they're just so complicated. I quite like a simple RTS because I just haven't got the brain space for it.
I think that's fair. Should we do main show?
Just do the show.
This could be a struggle for us, I think, Chris.
Yeah, agreed.
It's going to get political, but at the same time, it's very much a tech story that's in the press. It's hard not to become political in this one. So first up, it became fairly obvious early in the week that there was something going on between Grok and X, the platform, and its portrayal of women in the media. So for a long time, you could use Grok and ask it to put people in bikinis. Is basically the long and the short of it. You're not meant to, according to the terms of service, make it sexually explicit, but you could upload a picture of anyone to the Grok platform and say, put this person in a bikini, put them in a micro bikini, make it smaller, do this, bend them over in a sexualized position, do all sorts of stuff within that. And there seemed to be no age limit on this either, so people were doing it with children too. I'm not saying anything controversial by saying that. This is for our first story here is from BBC News, about a lady who felt she was being dehumanized and reduced to a sexual stereotype after the Grok platform was asked to digitally remove her program. So this was earlier in the week. I think it was the 2nd of January. And this didn't feel terribly fair that you have a notification app, effectively, easily accessible by anybody, even free users of the platform, to carry this out to women.
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it? And like you say, there's no age verification on the user or on the image being used. It was just all awful. Like there was no good in any of this, was there? It was just all bad.
It was all bad, and the sort of response to this, be it featured by the BBC, I think it came up at Prime Minister's Questions. Certainly Keir Starmer here in the UK responded to it, as did a number of politicians around the world. And it's interesting taking the UK side of this, that presumably this has been happening to American politicians such as AOC and others who are in the limelight in America, and they would have been declothed using this application and sent to them as well.
Yeah, I just don't understand why this thing exists. Like, why is it? Yeah, why does this exist? Why is it? Why was this not stopped before it was released? I just don't understand.
So the long and the short of it is that, from a UK point of view, women are not consenting to this, and it had become a talking point in the UK media.
Yep.
This week, later in the week, and in fact, this is from today's Guardian, or certainly yesterday's Guardian, that then violence became part of this as well. So blood was being added to things, forced smiles, put her in a bikini trend evolved from beyond this. And women were being abused and somebody who posted on one of these things on X/Twitter, here's an example of what's been done to me, received abuse from various, presumably bots as well as real people on Twitter. This is just the way she'd expect to be treated because she's on the internet.
Wow. It's awful, isn't it?
It's horrifying. And Musk originally, when this came out on January the 1st, that this was being a thing, put himself in a bikini to show, isn't it funny, that this is the kind of thing that can be done. And no, Elon, it's not funny. And the fact that you've done this to yourself shows sort of some of the repercussions of your platform.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. Sometimes you made a mistake, you just need to put your hand up and go, didn't get this quite right.
So, this is a thing, that this is unacceptable, that people believe what they see these days, and they're happy to jump on board. And we've talked about the impact these kinds of things have on children, never mind trolls and all the rest of it, that you've got the ability to easily, without people's consent and more or less with the blessing of the platform owner, to do this kind of thing to all people, to women, to men, to children. And that's where we're going with this next, is that, here you are, use your first name, I'm covered in baby oil, make the bikini smaller, make it more sexualized, make bits of my genitalia show, all this kind of stuff. It's really quite vile.
Yeah. I just don't understand. I just really don't understand why this became a thing, like how it even launched. I just don't understand why is it not filters put in. And it goes to show, isn't it, what can just be relaunched these days without any approvals. It just goes live and people start using it and they do bad stuff with it.
It does. And then we've actually got a more official response. So it's actually posted on the gov.uk website about the Technology Secretary's statement on the Grok image editing tool. So Liz Kendall, who's the Technology Secretary, has called for swift action and reported them to the regulator in the UK. That's Ofcom. Ofcom are expected to provide a response to within days, not their usual weeks, months or years, to a decision on whether the platform should be banned in the United Kingdom.
Sure. Yes. Like, how's that even a discussion? But anyway,
yeah.
At least they're trying to move quickly.
Well, relatively quickly, as glacially slow as governments move. And then you've got commentary this weekend as well. And the Verge will time out in me here, and annoying. But for me, this was spurred when I saw this article posted on the Verge from Elizabeth Lepato, basically calling Tim Cook and Sundar Pichai cowards because both of the terms of service on Google and Apple are meant to expressly forbid tools that allow for the generation of sexual abuse material, and specifically child sexual abuse material, which the Grok/X platform is still allowing people to do, be they paid users or not. And there was a bit of sort of deep fakery going around that as well, where they said, no, it's behind a paywall now, not everybody can do it. However, if you were to call from the platform from X, not directly within Grok, you could still actually get this to happen, or it may have been the other way around. But whatever it was, Apple have banned apps in the past because, there's no pornography on our platform.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that they've brought up in their marketplace apps, that it's not a thing they allow. However, this has been going on for over a week at this point, if we think of the tweets from January the 1st up to January the 9th, and Apple and Google are still allowing this to happen.
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it? Like, you've banned other apps, I'm sure, like Playboy isn't allowed or whatever it may be, but you're not doing anything with this. It's very strange, isn't it? Like, this is not right. And it's not just nudity, is it? This is is false nudity and also on minors. It's just there's just no good here. I just don't understand how this is still a conversation.
It's wrong on every single level, and I saw a bit of pushback against Elizabeth Lopato here because The Verge still use X to post their articles on, and people were viewing it as hypocritical that she would continue to post on X when she was criticising, the platform in the way that she does, calling them cowards and Grok and XA.
But that's a bit saying like you can't use an Apple product because you're criticising that the new iPhone isn't very good or whatever it may be. I don't know.
It's difficult. I mean, it's a ridiculous argument because the fundamental thing here is what it's doing is wrong. You wanted to stop doing the notification. You wanted to stop producing the child sexual abuse material on the platform. And how... And we've got a couple of other links here. Part of the problem here is the United States government view any methods to stop this, particularly from one of their friends, Elon Musk, as censorship. And they're very against censorship, unless it's something they don't want to hear, of course. But I kind of feel Google and Apple are between the devil and the deep blue sea, that if they take this off in the same way that Disney took Jimmy Kimmel off air after sort of criticism of the Trump government, then... who are they responsible to? Are they responsible to the government? Are they responsible to their shareholders? Are they responsible to us as the customers? Now, this is all spurious as far as I'm concerned. The platform is causing harm, and Apple are endorsing the platform. I think there has to be a response. They can't just do the usual stonewall and not react to this.
Yeah, I agree with you on this. I just can't believe this is a thing. I've got young children. You've got children. Nobody wants to see a picture of them modified on this. There's two things that need to happen here. The platform owners need to do something, but the company running this service also need to make a change. It's just ridiculous.
It's completely ridiculous. And then, I've linked to it via Jason Snell here, but Nick Here's article is also in the show notes about why Google and Apple are caught in this between the government and doing what's right and all the rest of it. But fundamentally, what they say is that it's a bad idea to rely on corporations to be the sort of platform owners and the people who vet the material on them. They shouldn't have an opinion on this kind of thing, or if they've got them and they write these terms of service, then they need to police them effectively. And that's where all this is falling down. And I mean, my opinion of Apple was becoming increasingly dim anyway. My opinion of Google has never been that great. This isn't really helping. If you think all the things we've talked about over the last couple of years about why the arguments for people shouldn't be allowed into the App Store due to pornography and privacy and secrecy. And, we touched on it earlier in the show. They're not doing any of those things that they hold other people out of the App Store for doing. I think it's a real problem.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just think if you're going to be the platform owner, you've got to be consistent with it, and there's just no consistency. And then and react and tell them this is violating our terms, and so you're paused until you come back with one that doesn't violate the terms.
But why X gets treated this way? Because there's an active lawsuit, I think, going on between Google and Apple. I don't think there is between Google and X or Grok at this point. So,
I don't know.
So it's just wrong. I mean, in the first article we said they're spineless cowards who are terrified of Elon Musk. It's hard to argue with that. That also Musk is the ear of the president. Also, this is the attitude of the particular government that's going on in America at the moment. But Europe seem to be gradually responding to this kind of thing. But it's all mixed in, isn't it? It's all mixed in with politics in America. It's mixed in with removing presidents. Again, I think I got my tinfoil hat on here. But it does all seem to be a piece. But how absolutely abject the big technology companies are about something that is clearly wrong. There's not even any arguments that there's a positive aspect to this kind of thing. It's not a free speech thing. It's not a censorship thing. It is wrong. It violates your terms of service. It's against the laws of your country, and yet you're continuing to allow it.
Yeah. This should have come and gone within the week that we've recorded. Like, here's news. Grok's doing some horrible things. Here's the follow-up within the week. It's dead and gone. It's been, they've taken it down. The app's not published anymore. But none of that's happened. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And as the time of writing, as Jason Self says, X is still the number 1 app on the App Store for news, and Grok is the number 3 free app. Wrong.
How? I don't understand.
I mean, all right, if you've got some issue with taking it off the platform, at least remove them from your charts so people can stop doing this. Apparently, in the Guardian article that we've referenced in the show notes, there are 6,000 child and sexual abuse material images being produced every hour on Grok. 6,000.
That's awful. I'm sorry. That's not a good stat. That is disgusting.
It's hard to sort of elucidate just how dreadful this whole thing is. I mean, it's bad enough that this notification technology was enabled in the first place. Women suffer from this kind of thing continuously. Children in school suffer from this kind of thing continuously. None of this is making it any better. And if you take this back to the American government, they're meant to be deeply Christian, deeply believe in all the moral and correct choices that are made. However, they're implicitly, explicitly allowing this kind of thing to continue. It's just wrong.
I concur. I completely concur. I think you and I are too far aligned on this one, but I just don't understand how this is a talking point when it should, like I say, should have just come and gone within the week. It should have been a storm in the teacup and gone, but it's not. It's carried on for too long.
And last but not least, it's just nice to get another sort of perspective on this. So this is an Irish article. It's not a British article or an American one. I don't know who the particular blogger is, but basically they go through the fact that X is a company that's registered in Ireland. Therefore, explicitly, the Irish government are sort of allowing this to happen on Irish soil because it's an Irish registered company. Very little has been done, but it goes through pointing out bits of Irish law that directly apply to what happens to people producing pornographic or child and sexual abuse material within the Republic of Ireland. And the law is very clear in Ireland about what happens if people do it. On summary of conviction to a fine not exceeding £1,500, presumably euros, to an imprisonment or a term not exceeding 12 months, even if you're the chief executive of the company, and the Garda in Ireland should be enforcing this.
Wow, so why aren't they?
There's the question. I mean, why have not all Irish people immediately, Irish members of government, immediately not come off X? And actually, they point out in the article that the Underminister that found this and started investigating it did immediately delete their Twitter account on finding this. So there are some people who put their money where their mouth is, but it is interesting to see how internationally this is being received and not just in our usual sort of US, UK bubble.
Yeah, it's really odd, isn't it? But how many countries and companies are getting involved in this and have taken zero action? That's what I don't understand.
No. I mean, not to say we told you so, but we left Twitter a long time ago, Chris.
We did, and I'm not sure I'm going to ever go back.
It's just a toxic cesspool, but and becoming even worse. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out next week. I think it's worth discussing it because it is a major story that's happening in tech right now. But it blows my mind, as you've said a couple of times, that we're still talking about it. This was discovered, Grok stopped it, X clamped down on it, we moved on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it should have been stopped at source, let alone carried on being proliferated to various platforms through apps. And even if it got that far, they should have stepped in and stopped it. That's what they're here to do. Is as they keep telling us, the App Store's here to protect us. It's not doing a very good job of that, is it?
No, it should never have been allowed to happen, let's be clear. You know, you shouldn't make an app that's accessible by everybody on the internet that can produce this kind of material for women. End.
But that's kind of my point, though, isn't it? There's that problem that you can release anything you want into the world. That was partly the joy of the internet and also the curse of the internet, and you don't need to get any approvals or sign off. And this is where it's not been used in a good way. Yeah,
but the platform owner or the government should regulate it and do something. I mean, you and I have always said we're on the side of educating children not to produce this kind of material. However, this genie is very much out of the ball.
Yeah, that is true.
Let's talk.
Very much out of the bottle.
So that's not the most cheerful story we've ever talked about. Should we do an app of the week?
Do the app of the week.
My app of the week, you can draw your own conclusions of what we've been talking about, is I've noticed that Linux is a little on the tricky side for when you're doing clipboard management. There's lots of good Mac apps to do this. Windows actually has one built in. If you press Windows and V, you get a clipboard history menu pops up. However, should you choose to, and you're looking for something on Linux, I've discovered Windows Clipboard History for Linux. It uses Super V, which is the Linux equivalent of Windows V, and pops up a nice clipboard history manager on any distribution. So be it Ubuntu or Fedora or Arch or anything, you can build this. It's built in Rust, which means it's super fast. It has a global hotkey, Super V, like I said, and it just works really well. Maintains rich text or not if you wanted to do that. It's very slick. Had to build it in the console. Took about 30 seconds, and I had a very good clipboard manager built in for GNOME in this case, but it will work on KDE as well. So if, like me, you're becoming increasingly Linux curious based on the platforms where we are, then it might be worth checking out.
Yeah, sounds good. I've never been a big clipboard history person, and I know the latest version of macOS has brought some clipboard history. I think it's just because I've been on the iPad for too long. So I haven't even played with the latest stuff in macOS, and I probably should.
Clipboard history is a truly wonderful thing, particularly if you like putting together show notes and things like that, and you need lots of URLs to hand and headlines and all the rest of it, and you're trying to juggle lots of things into the document. It would make your life easier when you can do that contribution.
Yeah, no, I get it. And there's also PowerPoint, and you're making a PowerPoint, you're copying graphics and URLs and text, and like you say, just chucking it all in the clipboard and then going over to PowerPoint where I'm doing it one thing at a time, which is a big part of my day job.
It could make your life an awful lot easier, and I would urge you to consider LibreOffice Impress rather than PowerPoint and not support Microsoft.
Yeah, that's more problematic, I think, with my role, in that you've got lots of people that aren't just me that I've got to deal with.
Yeah, we talked about this in the week, whereas unprompted, a couple of people in my team started going, I don't want to put any of our stuff on Microsoft platforms anymore, based on everything. And they're normal people, they're not nerds. So I think that in the common media, it's becoming more of a thing too.
Yeah, it definitely is. I agree with you there.
Thing of the week.
So I've actually gone with just Quake Remastered because I didn't do much watching of media this week. I got so engrossed in playing Quake. I saw it all the way through to completion, all 4 campaigns on hard, and then went and did the big bad boss at the end, and just generally really enjoyed it. It's £8 on the Switch, which is a bit more than your £3.50. But £8's all right, and it was just a thoroughly enjoyable game. I thought it aged okay, plays well on the Switch. It's a much slower game on the Switch, I think, than if you're playing on the PC, just because the way you're using the controls and what have you. But just really enjoyed it, and I've played it through a couple of times, and there was just a lot I'd forgotten. And like I say, if you're playing it with the sounds on, it is quite a scary game in places, and I just think it's really well done. Some of the level designs are amazing, some of them are infuriating. But just a really enjoyable game, and so I would recommend.
Did you use the gyros or did you use the sticks?
I just used my Switch 1 Pro controller, which is like a head-to-hand with the sticks. I don't like any motion controls or anything like that.
It's interesting, when I installed it on the PlayStation 5, the gyros were enabled by default, so I was trying to work out why my character was looking up and down, because I'm not used to that.
Yeah, no, I'm not used to it. The motion, anything, driving, looking, just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, maybe we need some VR goodness. I think we can call that a show, Chris.
I think so. So if anyone wants to get in contact with us, Rod is at g5minute@mastodon.scot. He's also on Blue Sky, where he's at g5minute.bsky.social. I'm at Mastodon, where I'm at _CJP at mastodon.social. You can watch on YouTube by going to our website and clicking on the on the YouTube link to watch Wake From Sleep, or you can drop us an email, wakefromsleep@protonmail.com.
Talk to you next week, Chris.
Cheers, Rod.